Hey, Wassup, I've got a really important question for you.
Oh no, I hope I don't say the wrong thing.
Well, it's GamesCast Live, so chances are you're going to say the wrong thing.
For sure. For sure, I'm going to say a lot of wrong things.
Yep. Yeah, it's, without getting too deep into it, you definitely turned our Discord into a shit show for the last couple of days. But you know what? Let's not make that into a running joke. Let's move on. Cranberry sauce. The lumpy stuff with real cranberries in it, or like the thing that's shaped like a can?
No.
Neither one. Like you're just down with cranberry sauce altogether.
Yeah, I don't even think I've ever tried cranberry sauce, and I didn't know there were two types of it. I just thought it was all the can-shaped, gelatinous, nasty. So I guess people make that from scratch, huh? I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, and I didn't have it made from scratch until I was like, I don't know, probably 12, 13 years old, and I was like, this is disgusting. Like the cranberry sauce has to be shaped like the can. I'm sorry, like otherwise it's just no good.
I come from Appalachia, man. Cranberry sauce is just something I've seen on television. Like nobody eats that junk where I'm from.
Dude, it makes every Thanksgiving better. It makes the family tolerable. That's what it does. I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
Well, that's maybe I should try it then. Just kidding. I love you all. You're wonderful.
Is anybody in your family watching? I'm assuming nobody in my family is watching, which is why I talk so much trash about my extended family on the show.
I don't, they're not supposed to, but I don't necessarily believe that. Like, I think maybe they secretly watch because sometimes they make comments about things that I mentioned on the show. And I'm like, you shouldn't be talking about this right now. That's odd.
Interesting. So, well, I guess I'll find out who in my family watches because I've been talking mad shit for the last couple of weeks about them. So we're going to find out real fast. And on that note, I think we should start the show.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
This is PSVR without Parole. Nope, that's not right. This is PSVR GamesCast Live, where we film live every single Monday, Wednesday, and 2 Wise Friday, right here, 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. We do it live 6 p.m. Eastern. I already said that. For your viewing pleasure, but we don't just care about your viewing pleasure. We also care about your, that's right, oral pleasure. So go check us out on podcast services of your choice. My name is Brian Powell from this channel right here, PSVR without Parole, home of the Game Cats. And to my left, you're right, it's Wes Dillon from Virtual Strangers.
What's up? What's up, Brian? Happy Turkey Eve. Happy Turkey Eve, Brian.
Are you jamming out to something
What's
over
up?
there? You're just kind of like...
I'm just getting warmed up. I'm running in place, shadow boxing, getting ready for a show, bro. I'm trying to wake up, honestly, is what I'm trying to do. But
I don't know what this
yeah,
is.
what's up, man? How's it going? Are you going to do dinner with the family tomorrow? Is that the plan? Are you driving somewhere other than your cave?
Yeah, we're going to my brother's house. Nobody's invited over here, except my parents just invited themselves over here yesterday because my kitchen's finally done. And my mom's like, "Oh, we got things to do," and I'm like, "I don't think we is the operative term. I have things to do. You can support me from a distance." And then they showed up and they didn't leave for like 3 hours. So
were they suspiciously looking on top of your cabinets, like they may have lost something?
No, what? Oh, like looking for the magazine that they misplaced 15 years ago.
Perhaps.
No, but it was, it's one of those things where you're so used to living alone, you're so used to like kind of doing things on your own time, your own way. If things are messy, well then they're just going to be fucking messy. And then suddenly your parents enter the equation, and it's like, fuck, like I should have cleaned before they came. Like they made lots of like accusational comments, being like, is this always like this? And I was like, no, nothing's always like this. Everything's always like this. That's what I should have
People have to apply. If they want to visit here, they have to apply 6 months in advance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I like
it's
that.
It's a strict process. We don't take everyone, Brian.
I like it. Man, I wonder if my camera's going to do this all night. It's like really focusing on the city behind me instead of my face. which is probably for the best. I'm really tired. I just crawled out of bed for the show. Happy Thanksgiving week, Wes.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it, and it's not so much about the dinner, which makes me even more drowsy just thinking about it. But it's just about a holiday. It's been a busy last 4 to 6 weeks with everything, with my family, with work, and the next 4 days, while not completely blank, of course I'll have stuff to do, but it's going to be mellow. There's going to be chances for me to play VR games and chill out and talk to people. I might even do a top 25, I think, perhaps.
Whoa. Yeah, we were just talking before before we started the show, and you've got a lot of work ahead of you in terms of like playing games and everything, getting ready for your end of the year show. How many games do you think you have to play between now and then to kind of get yourself familiarized with everything?
It'll be nonstop, and I won't get it all done because we typically run 40 to 50 categories, and what we do. So the purpose of our award show, obviously, is to highlight the games that we feel like deserve being recognized from the past 12 months. So we do kind of mold our categories around that. Like we'll when we're deciding what categories we're going to have, we always have in the back of our mind who we think will probably win. Before, we have a process we go through for the winners, but we try to stack the categories to the games, and there's still quite a few that I haven't played, especially like mods. Like a lot of the mods I haven't even tried, like Half-Life 2 Episode 2, I think, came out this year. Far Cry 7's another big one that I haven't even tried. So there's a lot of that sort of thing. But we're going to start, as we always do, by finishing the Game of the Year nominees. So I'm going to finish Vertigo 2, and I'm going to finish Resident Evil Village. I'm going to put a significant amount of time into Gran Turismo. I'm going to revisit Horizon. And then there's quite a few, like... this is what makes it difficult. And the last... week to 2 weeks, and then probably 2 to 3 weeks going forward, all of the best Quest games of the year are coming out in like a 6-week span. So I'm going to have to try to play those at the same time. So the moral of the story is I'm never going to get through it all, but I'm going to try to educate myself as best I possibly can. And I don't just pick the winners. We have a process. We meet with our patrons, like we go into VR, typically in big screen, but we may have to go somewhere else this year if there's too many people. But we meet in VR. We discuss the nominees and we vote. So I'm going to prepare myself as best I can, but I'm sure, as usual, I will be ill prepared when that day finally comes.
I think it's just the nature of the beast, man. Everything we do, I feel ill prepared for. I could play games 40 hours, 80 hours a week and still feel ill prepared. It's just, like I said, nature of the beast. It's going to happen. It still makes you one of the most qualified people, I'm sure, on the planet to do it, though, which is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, well, it's cool that I'm going to have time to work on that a little bit over the next few days. I look forward to it, man, especially these Game of the Year nominees. I get to finish Village finally. That's going to be probably the highlight of my year.
That's going to be the highlight of my week for sure. What's without spoiling anything, obviously, we don't want to ruin anything for anybody, but where did you leave off in Village?
Let's see. I think I'm about 75% through it from talking to people. It's been a while since I played it. There was like a new, there was a new monster. I'm trying to remember exactly where I'm at. I'm just going into a new area. It's like the third or the fourth area that you have to unlock to start the end game. So it's like either the last one or the next to last one. And you come into an area and you start walking downhill, and there's a big monster that's right there. And
you've got a little
you're trying to avoid
go.
that thing.
That's exciting. I'm glad it's not. I'm glad you don't just have like another hour or something. It sounds like you've got a ways to go if you are where I think you are, which is cool.
Yeah.
I definitely want to get back into Village. So listen, since we're sort of on the topic of all these different things that are going on, Virtual Strangers does this amazing end of year show. I mean, what's the record of this thing? Like 12 hours? How long has this gone on before?
Last year it was over 13. The year before that it was 14. And then the year before that, I think it was somewhere between 10 and 12. I categorize it yearly as the most epic VR podcast of all time, because that's typically what it turns out to be. We typically give out around 50 awards, around 100 games, and we're trying to crush that this year. So it may even run longer. Now, a lot of it is pre-recorded, so we're not sitting there for 14 hours straight. We'll do 2 hours on and then 2 hours off, 2 hours on, 2 hours off until it's over. But yeah, it's a long thing. Like, YouTube won't archive it all. We have to stop and do part 2 so that we don't have to start over.
Well, it sounds like the smart way to go about it. So guys, make sure that you click the link in the description below. Go check out Wes's channel, Virtual Strangers, where they cover not just PSVR2 games, but all things VR. Check out the channel and subscribe. This is long form content, man. If you like that kind of stuff, that's what they do. They're some of the best people at it. That's why Wes is here, because I used one of the few VR channels I used to watch before getting you on the show. It's surprising now that you're on the show, I get my Westville every week and I don't need to go watch Virtual Strangers. But before you were a co-host, these were the guys I watched. So go make sure you subscribe to that. The end of year stuff is going to be amazing, but you don't have to wait till end of year to have some great countdowns, some great top lists, some great anything, because this Saturday we're fucking days away from the Without Parole top 25 debate. That's going to happen this Saturday at noon Eastern. And I kind of forgot about it for a minute there, and realized like I've got a lot of games to go and kind of freshen up on. As you said, you want to refresh yourself on Call of the Mountain and like finish up Village. Like, I just want to jump back into Village and remind myself how beautiful that game is and how great it is. Somebody was just talking the other day about, like, about opening your coat and grabbing your flashlight from inside your coat, that kind of thing. Like, these awesome VRAF mechanics that they added. It's these little things that you can easily forget about. And so when it comes down to the top 2 for me, like I'm constantly jockeying back and forth between Gran Turismo 7 and Resident Evil Village. These are the little things you have to remember. To be like, wow, Capcom put a lot of fucking work into the VR version of this. And so I'm going to be playing and replaying a lot of things between now and Saturday for sure. So make sure you guys tune in. It's always a fun time. And we don't want to hear any bitching, whining, or complaining if your game doesn't make the list. If you're not there, if you don't show up, it's like, if you don't vote, you can't complain about who wins, right? President, prime minister, queen, king. If you don't vote, if you don't vote for the king and some other king gets elected, you don't get to complain about that shit. That's how kings get elected. We figured this out. Miles explained it all to me in great detail on Friday. So yeah, if you want a specific game nominated or on the list, make sure you show up Saturday. Or who knows, man? Maybe your voice won't be heard.
Go ahead and yell at me now for Beat Saber not being on my list, because it's not that I'm trying to slight Beat Saber, but I can't remember if I put it on there last time or not. Like, I think I might have put it on low on the list, but we've had more games come out since then, and it's going to be very difficult for me to find a spot for it. So go ahead and get angry now. I think games like Beat Saber hurt VR rather than help them these days. And it probably won't make my list. So Give me your hate now so that we can get along later.
Send all of your hate to wes@virtualstrangers.com, please. I don't want to hear about it. See, this is a tough thing. This is a really tough thing when it comes to the top 25 list, because these are not our personal top 25 lists. And so when people are like, oh, what's going to happen with No Man's Sky? And I was like, well, No Man's Sky has gone through some dramatic transformations, and I mean, it's not my kind of game. We've been through this over and over and over, but do I think it belongs in the top 5 of some kind of universal PSVR2 list? I think so, right? Because this is the kind of game you can spend hundreds, thousands of hours in, and obviously I can understand that, like, just because it's not for me, it doesn't mean it's not amazing. So it's tough. These lists are always very difficult to make. So if you don't like my list, make sure you complain to Wes about it, because I don't want to hear it either. So I don't. It's not actually Wes at virtualstrangers.com. It's like, I don't think. Okay, good. We'll send all of your hate mail to that address then, because doesn't seem to be the right one.
But no, with Beat Saber, it's not just about my personal taste, and I won't get into the explanation here because we've got a show for that.
Right.
But there's more to it than that. Good.
Yeah, and dude, and I do appreciate and respect what you said about these days it hurting VR more than it helps. However, I feel like there is a long conversation to be had about that, and we'll probably have it before we even get into the list on Saturday.
Yep, absolutely.
There's gonna be blood, you guys. I can just feel it already.
Blood.
There will be blood.
I'm going to drink all your milkshakes.
Guys, let's tackle a couple tips here before we get the show started. We got Silver Nexus, who upgraded to level 3 membership. Thank you so much, Silver Nexus. Good to see you here. Andy Hart with the 5 quid. I can't scroll like I should be able to. Says, do you know of any reason why Residential Evil 7, I'm just reading it verbatim, I apologize, has not had a PSVR2 update? I seriously can't understand why. No. I mean, I can't think of a good reason why it wouldn't happen other than the fact that we got Village literally 9 months ago, that we're getting Resident Evil 4 within a couple months. And I think that they just want people to stay focused on the shit that they're bringing you that's new. I mean, I don't really value my appendages, but I would definitely bet my left arm that Resident Evil 7 port for PSVR 2 is coming eventually. Would that be your guess?
When they remake it, they're going to remake it in 2026, and we'll get VR support then.
I mean, we're going to talk about it in a little bit here, but I think people were losing hope for specific PSVR 1 games to get ported to PSVR 2. Just because it's been 9 months, and people were really hoping that it would be that we get a lot of these titles in the first couple months, that we would get Blood and Truth, that we'd get Everybody's Golf, we get whatever. And the fact is, like, that we got Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 1 Shadow dropped on PSVR 2 yesterday. Like, these are the kind of things that, like, just are going to happen, and they're going to happen whenever is right for these different studios, and we have no idea what the logic is behind any of this. I do think that the logic behind Five Nights was pretty solid, though. It was like, hey, we just fucking revealed a release date for the second game. It's a month away. Let's drop the first game. So it'll happen.
That's what we call marketing. That's what we call solid marketing. There, you get people playing your game, let them run through it again on the new headset, and then right when they're finishing it up, boom, we deliver the new title.
Yep. And if there's going to be some kind of delay between Resident Evil 4 VR and whatever the next Resident Evil game in VR is going to be, like, the next Resident Evil game in VR could be Resident Evil 9, which is still a couple years out. So this could be our filler. Resident Evil 7 PSVR 2 could be the thing that gives us yet another Resident Evil VR game that year between 4 and 9. So anything's possible.
Great.
Let's see. We got Lost My Mojo, the Game Cat Reaper, with the $5 tip. Says, hey, Al, just wanted to get the pizza fund going. Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Thank you. I already had my pizza today. I think that's why I'm so tired. Too much.
Well, you're just prepping yourself for tomorrow.
True that. Training.
Dead Ringer, the Game Cat with the $2 tip, says, happy Thanksgiving. Love you all. Hashtag PSVR2 top 25. Oh, we should get that trending. Yeah, love you guys too. Thanksgiving. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I hate Thanksgiving. One of my least favorite holidays ever. I'm seriously just counting down until next Halloween. That's where I'm sort of at right now. All right, Wes. Did you see this link for the PSVR2 survey that Sony put out?
I took it. Yeah, I took this survey about 30 minutes ago.
Excellent. Well, I have not taken it yet.
Ooh, you're gonna like this.
I figured maybe we do it live. This is going to be. Who else
likes to do it live? Sorry, too easy.
Cheers. Yep. This is going to be the most irritating response Sony's ever got to any survey ever made. So, guys, here, you know what? In in the chat. If you guys want to take this along with me, if you guys want to also fill out this form, there's the link in the chat. So make sure you want to get your voice heard, right? People complain to me all the time about things that are happening with PSVR2. Like I can't do anything about the things that aren't going well or the things that you want or anything like that. Like so the last person that somebody's going to listen to is me. So let's hope they don't know it's me filling out this form. But yeah, this is your chance. Okay, are you 18 or older? Yep.
And it's absolutely your chance. Everyone should be taking this because you're absolutely, whatever your issue is, you're going to have the opportunity here to tell them. So everyone do it.
Yep. Wes, how satisfied are we with our PSVR2? I'm going to say somewhat satisfied. I can't go extremely because that would be kind of nullify.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's what I did too.
Okay. Please tell us why you gave that answer. Reprojection kind of sucks. I think that's fair.
Yep.
Seems like devs could use more support. Implementing, I don't know how to spell implementing. Implementing, looks like that was right. Dynamic foveated rendering. What else?
I put screen artifacts like SDE, Mira. I put and yeah, I made a comment to the extent that while third party and indie software support has been pretty good, first party support has been non-existent since the first two amazing titles that we got back in February.
All right, I think we're going in slightly different directions on this. I'm gonna say would love more AAA hybrid games like Village or Gran Turismo 7. Obviously, you know, hybrid games are one of the things that I just think is the future of VR, and so we want that. Holy shit! How satisfied are you with the following aspects of PlayStation VR 2? Comfort of the headset.
Here we go.
I'm gonna say somewhat satisfied. Games released recently for the PlayStation VR 2. Somewhat satisfied. Gaming performance, speed, graphics, sound, etc. of your PlayStation VR 2. Somewhat satisfied. This is overall library of VR2 games. It's somewhat satisfied. This is a little vague. PlayStation VR2 games not available on other VR headsets. I mean, we've got a few exclusives, but I'm going to go somewhat dissatisfied.
So I did the opposite. I went somewhat satisfied here because I think our exclusives are amazing, even though there should be more of them. Mm-hmm. You know, Synapse, Switchback, GT7, RE8. These are the best VR games, or a lot of them are the very best VR games. So I went somewhat satisfied here. With the question about recent PSVR releases, I went the other way. I went somewhat dissatisfied with that because we've had a lot of blown launches with bad ports and things that shouldn't be the way that they are.
Yeah, that all works for me. I'm gonna go
recently. Putting
it onto that context. Sorry, sirens on my end. I'm under that context. I'm gonna follow your lead here. The overall ease of use of PlayStation VR 2. That's the wrong one. Extremely satisfied.
Yeah,
super easy.
Same.
Anything else you'd like to tell us about your PlayStation VR 2? Seems to be missing a lot of features, i.e. big screen VR, social spaces. What else do we complain about around here?
Yeah, no, I just put no for this.
Oh. I'll say it's to make it sound like I have more complaints.
Yeah. Right. There you go.
Can't spend all day on this. Oh, that was it. That was the shortest fucking survey of all time. Oh, I'm actually a little bummed. I was hoping.
Short survey, but they give you an open forum to say your piece. Yeah. So I kind of liked it.
Indeed, me too. That's good. Yeah. So I mean, if everybody if everybody just if everybody gets on there, takes a survey, and sort of says all the sort of the same things. You know, we'd heard that they're working on their reprojection. We've heard that they're you know, making certain changes or whatever. And so just if they know that the community at large is all sort of on the same page about this, maybe they'll kind of light a fire under their ass.
Yeah, maybe it'll show them, you know, the PSVR community is more educated now than we were, you know, even 2 years ago. Like people know what they're looking at now, and we have evolved from the first generation,
For better or for worse.
right?
It's really strange too, because I think that in Gen 1, like they were obviously using reprojection, but
Mhm.
I don't think I ever noticed anything that you would call reprojection on PSVR 1. So they're obviously using a much different type of, their software is way different on PSVR 2 or something along those lines, because whatever they've done is it's made it far more noticeable to me. And so yeah, we've sort of had to take a crash course in education and figure out like what are these things that are bothering us, and that's definitely one of them for me. Oh, Dan Kitty VR said, I asked them to patch Wipeout. Yeah, I guess that would have been another thing. Make sure that you guys really mention PSVR 1 games that we still haven't gotten. That would have been huge, I think, in order to include there. All right, man. Well, after a bunch of waiting, we finally got a release date for Vertigo 2. Perp Games kind of came out and said they'd been saying that it was still going to come this year. Don't worry, everything's going to be fine. But it was really good to find out that they that it is in fact happening December 12th. Wes, every time, I'm not going to bring up any of their tweets, but every time Perp tweets anything and says anything about Vertigo 2, they show a scene from the game that I haven't seen before. and I don't even want to mention the things that I've seen, because it's like but it really does just show like how much crazy shit goes on in this game, and just how diverse a lot of the locations are, and diverse what a lot of things you're doing in this game are going to be. And it's like I need to go on media blackout until we actually get to play this ourselves, because I feel like, I mean, how much more could there possibly be? And I'm betting the answer is a lot that they haven't shown us. But man, I'm super pumped. This is absolutely one of my most anticipated upcoming games for sure.
Oh yeah, everyone's going to love this, man. PSVR in general has not seen a game like this yet. This is completely something that's been exclusive to PC forever. You're in constant flux from the minute the game starts to the minute it ends. Everything's constantly changing. The enemies are so diverse and unique. The weapons, the environments, everything's so different. I mean, it's a very common gameplay arc. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward action shooter, but everything is so unique. I don't want to say it all again, but everything is so different from anything else that you've seen. Zach's creativity really shines through in his games, so I think people are going to be blown away just by that alone.
And this is actually one of the games you have to finish before the end of the year, right? Mm-hmm. And so, how much of this have you seen so far?
I think I'm almost at the end of it.
Nice.
I might have actually. No, I think I'm at the very end of it.
Okay. So it sounds like it's deserving of all the praise that it's gotten.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot of opportunity for replayability in it. Well, I won't say a lot. There's some opportunity for replayability with a specific level that lets you kind of choose a side and go one path, and then you can play it again, taking a completely opposite path with different weapons and a whole different level, pretty much. But after you finish it, you all know about the new characters and how they change the game and all the extra stuff that's coming in. I don't think we're going to get the level editor the same way that PC's got it right now. I think that's probably something that's going to come later, because Sony's weird about stuff like that. But we will get those extra characters and that extra content, so that's going to be something to look forward to as well.
Yeah, those extra characters just really seem like that they're delivering like replayability in ways that I haven't seen in games for a very long time. I feel like this is something that games used to do more often. Like back in the day, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, you finished the game with this character. Now you've unlocked this character," and it's like, and their abilities allow you to see different areas of the levels, or experience different places, or take down bosses in different ways that you haven't seen before, and really give you a new way to play. And it sounds like this game is doing that in spades. I don't think I've been this excited for a game in a while. So hopefully it delivers. Obviously, they delayed it for a reason. I'm really, really hoping that Perp is, doing this game justice and making sure that it's gotten all the polish that it needs. So,
be busy. It's going to be a busy December. We talked about all these old games that I have to go back and finish and play, but I'm still going to play the new releases, and there's a lot of like amazing new releases still left to come for the last 5 weeks of the year.
Right. Yeah, we still have obviously Bulletstorm got delayed, but we still have Arizona Sunshine too, and that's gonna be like one of the biggest games of the year. So
yeah, at this point I'm kind of hoping that the RE4 is in January or February. Like, I don't want it in December. I don't have time, man.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Really loving what I'm seeing for the next month or so of PSVR2 releases, and Resident Evil 4 just doesn't need to be there. Give that to us in January. I think it'd be the perfect time for it. All right, probably time to move on from this. But I am very excited for it. It's funny, man. We got some amazing cats in our community. People who really, really pay attention to the PlayStation Store, and some of the more astute cats out there noticed that Gun Club VR Reloaded has made an appearance over there. Sorry, more sirens over on my end. I think Gun Club VR was a pretty huge game on PSVR 1. It was one of the, if I remember correctly, one of the games early on that did all the manual reloading stuff to a ridiculous degree, and really made you feel like you were using real weapons. And people absolutely fucking loved that. I don't know how much this game is going to hold up today. Hopefully it's still great. But the more exciting thing to me to find out that Gun Club VR is making its way to PSVR 2, and I'm going to guess you agree with me on this one, Wes, is that it means the Binary Mill is interested in bringing their games to PSVR 2, and they've got some really fucking cool games that I'd like to see over here.
Yeah, it would be great if we could get like an up-res of Rush, which is an underrated and forgotten multiplayer game, which I really loved during its time. Of course, Mini Motor Racing X was good as well, but Resist is one that never made its way over to any PlayStation platform, and that's an excellent game. So I'd like to see that one come over as well. So you're right. Yeah, Gun Club itself is kind of an outdated concept for a modern VR game. Not to say it's not fun, but it's more of a tech demo than a game. But yeah, I think you're right. The headline is that Binary Mill is developing for PSVR 2 now, and that is good news.
Yeah, I'd be happy with Mini Motor Racing X. I think Rush is, that's the one I think we all really want to see. Because wingsuit racing in VR is just fucking ridiculously cool. I'm familiar with Resist. I have not played Resist. I'm downloading the trailer right now for anyone who's curious. This is something that I think everybody would love. What's the concept of this one, Wes?
It's a single player sci-fi adventure game. Let me break it down into YouTube headline clickbait terms. Ooh. It's Spider-Man with guns. No, it's a grappling game. It puts you in a big city. You grapple around the city. You fight evil robots and shit. And the story's actually pretty good. It's got voice acting, and yeah, it's pretty good. Comparing it to something like Spider-Man is actually not all that far-fetched. I mean, it's not an action game where you're throwing punches and stuff like that, but it's got that same kind of movement, that same kind of layout, and same kind of activities and things for you to do across the city.
Yeah, I take it back. This is the game I want. Obviously want wingsuit racing on PSVR 2, but no, this is the game I want. Would you say it has depth to it? It seems like they're showing a lot of things here that aren't just swinging through the city and shooting enemies. They're showing things that almost look like puzzle solving. Would you say this has that level of depth where it's like, oh, you're not just going to get sick of the mechanics in 20 minutes?
There's about 4 or 5 different types of activities that you can do across the city. Some of them are like puzzle type things, and some of them are quicker. Some of them are more involved. A lot of it's about, achievements and trophies after you do a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're optional. Yeah, you have your story campaign that's driving you to go and follow a certain path and do story missions. But like a Spider-Man, you have these other type of like little side things that you can do, mini game sort of things that allow you to unlock achievements and trophies. And I think it also allows you to kind of progress some kind of thing in the game too. It's been a long time since I've played it, but you may be able to upgrade your abilities or weapons or something through some of these activities as well.
Well, the Binary Mill bring Gun Club VR, PSVR2. No release date yet, but again, very cool. Just to kind of see, it feels almost like a family reunion. Not going to lie, Wes. Like PSVR1 had support for sure, but it wasn't this like widespread support that you always see on Steam. It's just like developer. That's where they bring their games first, and if those games succeed, wildly succeed, then we end up seeing them on PSVR. Now PSVR2, but a lot of them just haven't really moved on from the Steam space, or some of them from the Quest space. And so it always feels like a little bit of a homecoming, a little bit of a reunion when these developers we haven't heard from in a while make their way back to PlayStation. And we know it's not the easiest thing to do, is developing for PlayStation or PSVR 1 or 2. So it's makes me feel good.
Yeah, we saw something kind of similar the first time around too. It was like the third year. Like for the first couple of years, it was, all of these ports are coming, all of these ports are coming, all of these ports are coming. And then all of the sudden, just boom, it was release after release after release after release. All the ports came. So it could be something similar here. There might be a little bit of a learning curve, like you alluded to before, where, it's taking time for developers to get a grip on developing for PSVR2, and at the same time they're waiting on the player base to grow to a certain like critical mass. So I think we could see something similar here, where maybe next year or the year after, all the games just start rolling in from the different platforms.
All right, let's tackle a couple of tips before we move on. I want to make sure that we don't leave anybody hanging here. Let's see here. We got Getting Turkey in My Belly. The Game Cat Reaper with a $5 tip says, he's back. LOL. A little more for the toppings. Oh, man. Thank you. I gotta say, I've gone to bat for Little Caesars more than once. Like, they're not the greatest, but they're, it's like McDonald's. You know what you're getting every single time. It's going to be the exact same pizza you got the last time. No question about it. It's like they just kind of copy and paste one to another. Those little fucking pepperonis they have, the ones that crisp up around the edge and like curl up, and they get crunchy and fucking amazing. That's all I have to say. Why don't more places use that pepperoni? That's obviously the kind that we want. I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think you're like me, and maybe you grew up eating cheap food, so you've got a taste for it. Like cheap pepperoni is delicious. I agree with you completely. But yeah, I'm on the Little Caesars bandwagon as well. We hit that place up at least once or twice a week.
Nice.
Because it's there and it's ready and it doesn't cost a lot of money, and it's good enough.
It's good enough. I like it. Yeah, I mean, this is weird. Their wings are actually decent. Their garlic cheese bread is phenomenal. Like it's pure salt from top to bottom, but it is the best pure salt from top to bottom. Dude, I think I'm talking myself into one tonight.
There you go.
Yeah. And I think and they actually do use two different types of pepperoni there. The ones that curl up and crisp are only on their Fanceroni pepperoni pizza. So it's like you got to make a decision. Like, what kind of pizza do you want tonight? I definitely should have eaten before the show. Darth Vader, the Game Cat with the $2 tip says, can't wait to use all the wacky guns in Vertigo 2. They did show, here, you know what? Like, let me bring this up for a second, because they've done a couple of these weapon showcases, haven't they?
Yes.
And so if you haven't seen
Yes, and
this,
some of these weapons are crazy too, man. Like the guns are guns. The guns are still guns at their core, but
yeah,
in like the later half of the game, some of these weapons are just nuts.
I gotta tell you, man. I mean, so first of all, I mean, it's so cool seeing this weapon that like has some kind of fluid in it. You know, anytime you're walking around in a game and you pick up a bottle and like it has fluid in it, it's always fun to just fuck with it and see like what are the physics like in this? Like, did they really make this accurate? But to have a weapon that's actually got a, you know, some kind of fluid in it itself is pretty cool. But nothing I don't think is cooler than seeing all this blood splattered on the wall. Like it's just kind of like this dynamic blood splatter that just, I mean, everything is going to be just painted red by the time I'm done with the enemies in this game. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. It reminds you a lot of After the Fall in that way, where you're just painting everything with blood.
Here, I think let's just make sure we're not. Oh, here we go. GC13, the Diet Pepsi Cat, gifted 10 PSVR2 without Parole memberships. What a fucking amazing community we have. So generous. Thank you very much, GC13. And congratulations to everybody who got without Parole membership. We haven't given you guys a lot of reasons to become members here. You know, it's just one of those things. I'm like, do I spend time, you know, creating reasons for you guys to give us money, or do I spend time making videos that like you guys will enjoy? And I think I'm spending my time doing the right thing. My top 10 PSVR2 games of 2024 video is doing really well, and you guys seem to be appreciating it. But please let me know. Always let me know if there's anything else that you want to see. If you have any requests for the membership or for Patreon roles, please let me know, because it's really sort of, they're kind of low on my list. Making sure that the channel is, you know, killing it with good content is my priority at all times. Excuse me. Niles Ryan, the game feline with a $5 tip, says turkey, pizza, money. For all the toppings I've seen on pizza, I can't say I've seen turkey on any of them, which is sort of a shame.
Be careful what you ask for.
Listen, I think I would eat pizza with turkey and cranberry sauce on it and just call it maybe a little bit of gravy, you know, put some mashed potatoes on that shit. I think I'd find a way to enjoy that. Anything on pizza is good.
Or maybe just some turkey pepperoni. That's a thing.
Ooh, but is it crispy when it's cooked?
I don't remember.
These are the important questions, Wes. Remember that. All right, dude. I was putting the thumbnail and the headline of the show together earlier, making sure we were ready to go for our normal 6 p.m. launch time. And I felt really bad because I feel like one of the more exciting things that we're going to talk about is the new Vitruvius announcement that got revealed yesterday, which is Arken Age. Here's the trailer in case you guys haven't seen it. And like this didn't make it on the headline or thumbnail of the show at all, and which is craziness, absolutely craziness. But I figured, hey, you know what? I uploaded the trailer. I included it in my top 10 2024 games. So I feel like we gave it plenty of coverage. However, dude, is it just me, or does this look fucking phenomenal?
This looks legit AF, man. This game looks like just the type of thing that we need. It's a bit of a unicorn these days. Like, whereas last gen, you know, a lot of these cross-platform games would originate on Steam, and then PSVR2 would be like the other platform. This generation, all the games are coming to Quest and PSVR2, and they're not coming to Steam. And what that means is that the standalone is 90% of the time our baseline of quality with these games. When we get one of these very rare cases where Quest is the red-headed stepchild, and it's the one that gets left out, we see games that look like Vertigo 2, we see games that look like this. And it's exciting that we have another one of these to look forward to, because this looks amazing.
Yeah, and honestly, if this was just any other trailer on, you know, for PSVR 2, I would be excited. But there's something about this. I've been talking to Blake over at Vitruvius for the better part of the last couple of years. He's sort of been keeping me updated about what this game's going to be and what's going to look like, and occasionally sending screenshots and shit like that. And there's something about it being a Vitruvius game that makes me more excited for it, because here's a team of two small people. Okay, let's try that again. Here's a small team of two people. I don't know how tall they are, man. They're Canadian. I don't know if that affects their height at all, but yeah, I don't know if they're small or large people. But there's only 2 of them over there. Obviously, they're going to have, there's obviously like outsourcing and everything to be had in games of this size. And there's even outsourcing in Shadow Legend. But when you look at a studio like Ball Thing, right, which was, I still endearing as far as I was concerned. It felt like an N64 game thrown into VR. Didn't have a lot of VRAF mechanics. But then a couple years later, we see them do Shadow Legend, which actually, which is the game in which Jeremy King coined the term VRAF for games. And so and we were just blown away by all the things that you could do in that game, how beautiful it looked on PSVR1. Sure, the areas were small. There were long loading screens between them, and had all sorts of problems. I mean, I guess you could call it problems. But the fact is, again, 2 people made a phenomenal game at a budget price. And then 3 years later, here we are, and we're seeing sort of what I'd consider like a natural evolution of a small studio. Being like, okay, they did kind of this basic third-person platformer. They did, everything they could possibly do with a first-person game. And then here we are. This isn't open world, but it's open area. It just has an amazing art style. It just looks like they poured their heart and soul into this. I'm confused, Wes, why more studios aren't going this route. A lot of studios started off, and they gave us, like, okay games, and then they just stagnated. Whereas Vitruvius is the natural evolution of passionate VR game developers. And I expected to see this with Survios. It didn't happen. I expected to see this with Fast Travel games. No offense, Fast Travel, but it didn't happen. Like, Fast Travel's like sort of been the same studio from beginning to end. But you have these teams like this that are just like really blowing it away. And so,
yeah.
And I don't know if that's because it's got to be because of money, right? Like developers.
It's exactly why it is in most cases. Now that's not the case with Survios. Survios is a bit of an outlier because Survios kept bringing us games that were more and more polished. They were just bad games. The concept for the games were bad. So like they would give us a beautiful shitty game over and over and over again. These other studios like Fast Travel and everyone else, they became businesses and they went to where the money's at, and where the money's at is lesser hardware. So they had to scale it back. When you see these studios like Vitruvius who are choosing not to do that, these are true artists, right? These are people who don't want the limitations. No matter how much money you throw at them, they're going to want to make the best thing that they can make. And I think it's respectable. They're a dying breed, these studios. And I think it's good that they continue to evolve along with the cutting edge of the technology, right? That they stay right there, right around what the machines are possible of, what the machines can possibly do. So, no, I'm super excited for this. This is immediately one of my most anticipated games. Now that we see that it's far along enough that they can give us a trailer, I'm hopeful we see this sometime first half next year. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, there's also a massive risk involved. If you're gonna spend 3 years making a VR game, and then it doesn't sell, then suddenly you find yourself in a really bad position. So I understand when certain developers have to sort of hedge their bets and release a game every 18 months in order to, keep the money rolling in and make sure that, I think End Dreams is an interesting example of this. End Dreams is sort of what I'd consider a studio that stagnated as well, where, they brought us The Assembly, which is like this massive fucking adventure puzzle game. And then, and then Fracked, it was like, wow, this is fucking beautiful. And like, look at the mechanics. It's great, but it's 2 hours long. And then, Synapse, which is, again, beautiful. This is so much fun to play, but there's not much content in it. Ghostbusters, same deal, right? And but at the same time, they've sort of been transparent enough with us to say, listen, we're going to keep bringing you these kind of games, but we've also got this other team called Studio Elevation in the background who is, who we're funding with all these smaller games. We're funding these AAA experiences, these AAA games that will be bringing to you eventually. You haven't seen them yet, but it's happening. And so there's a lot of different ways to go about it. And I just love this model of it, just seeing the natural evolution from game to game to game. And I really hope this is what happens with Sin Studio as well. Obviously Sin, a lot of kind of less than stellar offerings, for the first 3 or 4 games that came out, and then we got Swordsman VR. And if the rumors are true, then their next game could be much bigger. And that's what I'd love to see from all of these studios is a serious but also a natural evolution of what they're capable of. These are the guys that that bigger studios are going to have to reckon with and say, listen, when Activision and Electronic Arts and all these studios who aren't doing the VR thing, these are the studios like Vitruvius. They're going to have to compete with these guys because Vitruvius knows how to make games VR AF, and those studios are just not going to know how to do that, and because it takes time. It takes time, and unless they start hiring people that like have been in the VR field for a long time, they're going to have an upward battle on their hands when it comes time for them to get into the VR space.
And this is one of the few advantages that actually come with having a small team. If you're financially stable enough that you can work for a few years on something, you don't have to make $10 million to be a financial success. If you're just paying a handful of people, then you just have to make enough money to pay a handful of people. Right. So that's why, studios like this, Zach, Vertigo 2, or like Vertical Robots, another good example of this. They can take time and, you have to have talent, obviously, to keep your team small like that. But it's a good situation for them if they are true artists, like we assume these guys are, and really want to just create the most immersive worlds that they possibly
jumped into this whole side topic of like, small VR studios and the evolution and, making bigger games over time. I don't want to gloss over the fact that this game just looks incredible, that they've created such a unique visual style here. Everything looks like it belongs in this world. The characters, the weapons, everything. You look at it at first and you're like, oh, this is like some kind of like fantasy medieval situation. And then the next thing you know, you've got fucking sci-fi weapons in your hands. It's like, this is a blend of genres that I don't think I've seen. I mean, I can't think of off the top of my head. I'm sure that there's a million examples of it, but off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that really stands out the way that this does. This really seems to deliver something that I think is sorely lacking, not just from an originality standpoint, but just from a gameplay perspective as well.
Yeah, you get kind of the same vibe you get from like a Horizon, although Horizon isn't exactly like medieval with their blend, but that kind of like old world plus new world futurism blended together. There's a few of these games in the flat realm, but it's not really anything that's been explored all that much in VR, and that's kind of what makes it another thing that makes it really exciting.
Yeah, no, absolutely agreed. Absolutely. Wes, moving on Monday's show, AJ and I were obviously really excited to talk about Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted VR2, because that got a release date, something that we've been anticipating for a while. And in the chat, people were like, great, where the fuck is Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 1 on PSVR2? And, it's obviously not something we can answer until it happens, because, again, there's so many reasons why things happen and why they don't happen and when they happen. I think everybody's really excited yesterday when Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 1 dropped for PSVR2. And it was a $10 upgrade charge. It comes with the Curse of the Dreadbear DLC. Is this something you played much of on PSVR 1, Wes? I've got too many co-hosts, I can't remember. Oh no. Moving on.
No, I am familiar with it. My 15-year-old is a Five Nights at Freddy's fanatic. He absolutely loves it. Okay. Has all the games. He has fan-made spin-off games. And he's been like really looking forward to the sequel that's coming up. He asked me about it every week, so I'm very familiar with these games. But no, I didn't try the first one out. To be honest, collection of mini games didn't sound like the most compelling thing to me. But for what it's worth, I have heard from most people that it's actually good. So I probably should play it. I just never have.
Well, I obviously upgraded this the second that I could, and I was pretty much in bed for the last 24 hours. So before the show, I was like, I had probably 20 minutes to go check out the upgrade, and very happy to report a couple of different things. First, the second you start this thing up and you see the Steel Wheel Studios logo and the warning screens or whatever, it is super fucking crisp and clear. It is as sharp as you'd hope it would be, and thankfully that applies to the game itself. This is just running at what seems like max resolution. It is extremely clear. 2, for a game that takes place in a lot of darkness, the concern, of course, is there mirror everywhere? Are you going to see like just blotches of black sort of fucking up your vision? And I saw none. I was looking for it. There's times where your flashlight is on. There's times where your flashlight is off. None. The blacks look black. The colors look solid. Like there's no blotching. Like looks fucking great.
Why is this, Brian? This is so weird. How some studios can just make it disappear while others can't. I don't understand, man. And I'm talking about some big, well-staffed studios putting out games that have mirror in them. It gives us hope when we see games like this, huh?
Yep. Dude, and I mean, I've got more to list, but what you're seeing right here, this vent repair stuff, I mean, dude, I'm just terrified. I already played this game. I've already beaten all the mini games, and here I am. And just dude, just watching this like just brings back the stress that I was under. With these animatronics coming down these vents and stuff, and you have to shine the light on them in order to make them like retreat. And you just like you get the headphones in, and you're just listening for any sounds that might indicate that something's about to attack you. Like you can just see me like looking from side to side because I'm terrified. And this color puzzle that you're going to see me do here in a second, I kept missing the first 2 colors because I kept looking around at the other vents. And so I try so many times and fail, and I keep missing the first 2 colors every single time because I keep looking away at the exact same time every time. And it was just panic-inducing. And so, I mean, really, if you like horror games, if you like this kind of whole feeling stressed out and feel like you're like vulnerable and open for attack at any point, like, man, Five Nights does it in a way that I don't really see other games doing it. This is something that AJ and I loved last gen, and I'm really glad it made it out just in time for the top 25 list.
Now I gotta go play it. Right?
Now you gotta go play it. Yeah, sorry about that. But it comes with Curse of the Dreadbear, and when you get into the Curse of the Dreadbear DLC, again, like this whole package, sorry, sirens on my end, this whole package cost a pretty penny on PSVR1. It was, I think, $35 for the original game, another 20, I can't remember, for the Dreadbear. Like this was not a cheap package. So $10, even if you didn't own Curse of the Dreadbear, the $10 upgrade is pretty decent, and especially considering that they up-resed it so much that that the controls feel great. There are haptics in the headset when you get to the Curse of the Dreadbear DLC, like just the lightning flashing, you can kind of feel that in your headset. In the vent repair stuff, there's anytime there's steam like blowing at you, like you feel that. It feels like they really went above and beyond with this, and it feels really good to play. So I'm a big fan of this. If you're not a big fan of it in the chat, I'm sure you've already spoken your mind, because
I think most of us that aren't big fans of it are people who haven't played it, honestly. I haven't heard many people say, I played it and it's just not good. Most of us are just saying, man, that just looks like minigames to me. But again,
you're not
you
wrong.
have to experience it. Yeah.
Yeah, more than the sum of its parts is the phrase we always go back to. Because
plus I hear that the DLC is kind of the thing with it. Like the Dreadbear is the best part of it from what I understand.
Yeah, that was my memory of it for sure. Is that the Help Wanted itself was a good kind of trip down memory lane. Put Five Nights at Freddy's 1 through 4 into VR basically. Give you a bunch of other mini games, event repair stuff, the animatronic repair, whatever that's called. A lot of really cool things to do in VR. But then when the Curse of the Dreadbear DLC came out, it was like, oh damn, like it feels like they were just doing something new for VR here. It was good. This ride that I'm on here, where I'm just like shooting these balls at the targets, maybe not the thing I should have checked out when I only had 20 minutes. Like this is sort of one of the less exciting things to do in the game, but still. After the vent repair stuff, I needed to let my heart rate go down a little bit. Anyway, great news for PSVR2, because there's a ton of FNAF fans out there, and knowing that Help Wanted 2 is coming out next month, and that this is already out, I think this could move a lot of PSVR2 headsets. Like, honestly, I think it might happen.
Cool. Hope you're right.
I think we got a couple tips here. I want to make sure we don't get too far behind on them. Let's see. We got Hembre D, Catalurgic Game Cat Rare with a level 3 membership, says, watching the best show on earth on my phone at a local pizzeria. Happy Thanksgiving, Game Cats. Amazing.
So he's watching the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't feel like I'm on my game for this show, Wes, so hopefully we're not disappointing anybody. Hembre D was like, this is the greatest show. And then today he's like, oh, well, maybe not today's.
I feel pretty good, man. I think it's better than you think it is.
I hope it's always better than I think it is. I never think anything's really great, Wes.
Sorry to hear that, Brian.
Yeah, you're pretty good. I think Miles and AJ are pretty good, but
you're not so bad yourself,
I do what I can. Macho, the real estate procrastinating Game Cat gifted 1 without parole membership. Thank you for your generosity, Macho. The Game Cat, formerly known as Andrew Ehrenreich, with the $2 tip, says, Brian, just DM'd a pic of my Thanksgiving pizza on Discord. Oh my goodness. All right, we're going to have to make sure everybody jump over to Discord after the show's over, because we're going to have to check this shit out. I can't bring it up right now. I apologize, Andrew. Macho gifted 5 more without parole memberships after that one. He's up to 6. We got TJ Perry with the $5 tip, says, PSVR games I would love to see upgrades / sequels of Electronauts, Star Wars Squadrons, and Iron Man VR. Those are some interesting choices. I think if you gave me 3 to 5 options for ones that I want upgrades or sequels of, as much as I liked all 3 of those games, I don't think those would top my list.
Certainly would be the top of my list, but man, I would love to have Squadrons. It blows my mind just how kind of off the map that game has gotten to be over the last couple of years. Like, that's a legit AAA Star Wars game, and you can buy it on Steam right now for $1.99.
Oh, right. Wait. Actually, that's on the PlayStation Store too. I saw that.
Is it the same price there?
95% off. It's like $2. Yeah.
Why? Like, that's an amazing game. Which I get it on PSVR. It's the last gen system, and maybe not that many people buy games anymore. But this game has been cheap for a while. I mean, now it's down to $2, but it's been $7 for a year or more. Like it's been low for a while. And I don't understand. Like, it's really, really good.
Squadrons is, so the $2 sale on Squadrons, I think I recommended on Friday's episode that if you if you have faith, if you can keep your fingers crossed and hope that we get a PSVR2 upgrade to this at some point, it's worth the $2 risk to just buy it and have it in your library. Because even if they charge $15-20 for the upgrade, hey, at least you got a good solid foundation here to upgrade it from. And you can play it flat screen. So if you don't have your PSVR 1 hooked up, there's always that.
And if you do, I mean, it's beautiful even on PSVR 1. It was a great looking game. Like, it's legit AAA.
Yeah, and it used dynamic rendering or whatever it was called, so that it was so that if you played it on PS4, it looked okay. You played it on the Pro, it looked even better. And if you played it on PS5, it looked even better. No patches required. Like, it was just rendering at whatever the console could handle, And so I remember just being like, wow, this looks so much better on PS5 with the PSVR 1 headset. So, yeah, I was a big fan of it. We need more of that. More hybrids. We need to make a more cowbell meme, but with more hybrids.
I got a fever.
Yeah.
And the only remedy is more hybrids.
I will say Iron Man VR. I know that Quest got a much better version of Iron Man VR after Meta bought Camouflage. I would love to see that version, like full locomotion and just some like better load times and all that stuff. But yeah, I think there's so much you could do with the Iron Man IP that like I do hope we see a sequel to that at some point. Doesn't have to be made by Camouflage, right? I mean, Camouflage was a good studio to do it, not a great studio to do it. I think there's more experienced studios that could deliver a more polished product. So yeah, there's still a chance, I think.
Yeah, possibly.
Just before we move on from the Five Nights at Freddy's thing, it was great to see that it came to PSVR2. It was great to see that there was a $10 upgrade fee. What the fuck is happening with all of these physical releases not having the same upgrade treatment? Like it was a massive problem with Saints and Sinners. It was a massive problem with some perp games, some perp physicals, and now I'm hearing reports it's the exact same thing with Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted. That if you have the physical version, it doesn't seem to be a $10 upgrade fee to upgrade that at all. You just have to repurchase it. From my understanding, this shouldn't be difficult. I've talked to developers who've had physical games out who say you should be able to put the disc in and purchase the upgrade. So I don't know what's going on there.
I don't know. There must be some technical weirdness with it. Something that we heard recently from Racket Fury was that after the game launched, you can't go back and fix it. Right. So what I'm assuming is happening here is that there's a way to configure this pre-launch so that you can make physical have a upgrade path, but it's probably something that's easy to miss, and then after the game launches, you can't go back and fix it. That's my guess as to why, but it's pure speculation. I have no idea why this is happening.
Yeah, my guess
it could very well be that the developers don't want people passing around their physical media and letting all their friends upgrade their game for nothing.
I mean, that would make sense to me, but from my understanding of how it works, you'd still need to put your disc in order to play your upgraded version. So you couldn't
go back and buy a copy of the digital on sale or anything like that, or I don't know, or pick up a $2 used disc from GameStop or something like. I don't know about developers. I know the platform holders hate physical media, and they don't make it easy for people to buy and share, and it's becoming more and more a rarity. I don't know. It's hard to understand why. I see both sides of the coin here, and it could be either or both on a case-to-case basis.
I think when it came to Saints and Sinners, I remember that being a thing with the publisher of the physical version being Maximum Games and not Skydance themselves. And so as soon as you get a third party involved, somebody who's not going to be making money on the upgrade, I think that's where a lot of problems become a bigger issue when they're like, well, why should we? What's the benefit of us getting involved in giving people something for free? I don't know.
Some of these developers don't even know about this whole idea of the upgrade path, and people who did PSVR1 games that are now just starting to work on bringing their PSVR 2 copies over. And I say this from experience. Yeah. Even recently, I'm talking to a studio that is going to be bringing their PSVR1 game to PSVR2, and I asked them about an upgrade path, and they just act like, what's that? What does that mean? So I had to literally explain it to them, how this is a thing now that they have to be very careful with. And, I used Racket Fury as the example of how things could go for you if you do the wrong thing. So some of it might just be pure ignorance, and people just don't understand the expectations of the community right now.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. It's crazy to me that developers aren't they don't have their thumb on the pulse of the community of which they're making a game for, and they're just sort of letting all this news fly past them. Andrew Ehrenreich in the chat with the $2 tip says, "Fuck Squadrons. We need Eve Valkyrie to come back." I won't fight you on that. We need CCP to come back. The developers, they're the ones who made Spark. They're the ones who made Eve Valkyrie, and they just I think they were kind of victims of not understanding the limited amount of sales they have on a game that they pumped millions of dollars into. They made these high production value games, but didn't see the return on them, and so they were either not willing to invest in the long term, being like, hey, these games are going to be great on PSVR2, and we're going to finally make our money back when we sell them again, or bring them to Quest or whatever like that. And I think eventually they just looked like it was they were just losing money, and so they're like, well, we're going to shut down the VR studios, which is a real shame when you have studios that are, making some seriously good looking VR games, in really good playing too. I remember Valkyrie at launch just being like this, holy shit, like just one of those moments. I got into it like I think on launch day, and I just couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, this is fucking incredible. This is everything I wanted from Wing Commander 30 years ago. So it's a shame. But hopefully CCP will reconsider at some point. Where are we at, man? Oh shit! I completely forgot. We played Very Bad Dreams, which is coming to PSVR2 on Friday, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's right. Friday.
Yep.
Yeah, is it Friday? Yeah.
Yeah. If you guys don't remember, Very Bad Dreams came out on PSVR1 only 3 months ago. Which is weird because here I am like drowning in PSVR2 games to review and to play and get caught up on. And I stopped everything. I halted everything in order to play Bad Dreams on PSVR1 and review that game. So it got a bad score. I think it got a 3.5, but it was very creative, and we were like very interested in what the game was doing, despite the fact that it didn't really deliver on a technical level. A lot of bugs, a lot of visual issues. I had heard from people who their game had crashed and they couldn't even play the game. So I was very, very happy to hear that these guys were giving the game another shot on PSVR2 with DLC and the whole thing. And it will be a free upgrade. So if you're already on the original, you'll get the PSVR2 version for free. But Wes, take it away, man. Tell me what you thought when you got into this thing.
Dude, I just love this game. I probably shouldn't. I'm probably going to like it more than a lot of people do.
Yep.
But it's like they made a game for me. This is what I want from my VR games. And don't get me wrong, it's still indie AF. It's still a little janky, yep. But it's nothing that's extremely annoying. We don't get games like this. This game is surreal. It's whispering in your ears. It's changing things in your visual pattern. It's keeping you off center the whole time that you're playing. And I absolutely love that about it. And I'm glad that I can sit here today and say I didn't play it on PSVR 1. I played it on Steam before, okay. And I was hoping that we got something a little closer to that than what it sounds like the PSVR version was. And I'm happy to report that that's exactly the case. I haven't made it far enough into it to play any of the new DLC, so I can't really speak on that. But I did play through the first couple of chapters of it, and it is on par, if not better, than the Steam version. It's on par visually. There were a few visual artifacts, but they weren't very noticeable. You did see them, but you forget about them pretty quickly. But some of the jank that I experienced on Steam is not here in this version of it, which is pretty cool. And I just enjoyed the experience of it the whole time I was playing. I really liked this game a lot.
GC13 in the chat says, OMG, this is the moment where Brian and Wes bond over bad horror games. And she's absolutely fucking right. Like, there's no question about it. Sirens on my end. There's no... this is when I talk about this game, I want to be very clear that I'm talking about this game in the sense that the same way I talk about Galaxy Kart, where I absolutely love it despite all of its problems. And on PSVR 1, I experienced so many issues. I experienced just interaction problems. I experienced weird things where like a spider would crawl through the room and then like just kind of sit over here off to the side, like just like and this wall would disappear and I'd see the spider just hanging out over there. Like, just clearly it felt like a game that was made in dreams. And this is the studio, if anybody doesn't know, this is the same studio that made Darkness Roller Coaster. So we didn't have like really high expectations for this. But what they did, what they were missing in the technical, from the technical side of things, they really made up for from the creative side of things, and they, just level after level, like new things to scare you, dude. When I jumped into this, first of all, I couldn't believe the visual improvements that I saw. Everything was running. I believe they said it's running at a native 120. It's running at like the highest resolution.
I don't know if it was native or not, man. I don't want to shit on it too much, but I did see what appeared to be reprojection artifacts, but maybe it's something else that I'm seeing that looks like that.
So I did get an email from them today, and there's, as technical as we've become, and like the things that we've learned from a technical standpoint about VR, the email I got from the studio today said that there's another patch incoming to address some of the things that, like, yes, it's running at, I think, and please correct me if I'm wrong, if I believe it's running at a native 120, but there are other things at play that can make it look like, things are stuttering or whatever. And so whatever we played, Wes, I don't believe will be the case. I think they've already issued another patch, and so it'll play even smoother and look even better by the time it hits retail on Friday. So this is why I don't have a review out. I want to make sure that I'm reviewing the final launch version, and but I will have that review out hopefully this. And hey, Creative VR 3D, the developers are in the chat. What's up, guys? Yeah, hopefully you guys can give us the rundown here and let us know. Like, is it running at a native 120? I'm pretty sure that it is. But dude,
yeah.
Sorry.
And so to be clear, it wasn't something that you saw all the time. It was only an every now and then thing. Something that I noticed when there were like text or subtitles up, and I was specifically moving in a certain way to make it ghost. Like as far as like the game environments and assets, all that stuff crystal clear, no problems with it whatsoever. Pretty much all of the visual things that I noticed about the game that weren't perfect were when I was looking at some kind of text, either on a letter or in like subtitles.
Well, I'll say, man, when I jumped in and I saw, again, how clear it was, and obviously we're not using the move controllers anymore, like with weird ass button layouts, and like everything just kind of worked the way they'd expect it to. You can run, jump, the whole thing. They do the whole, swing your arms to, you click the run button, but then you like also do this to run faster. It all kind of works for me. And when it comes to, like indie horror games, I just feel like this is the stuff that we played on PSVR1, like No Way Out, and I hope that at least this is the new standard for like indie horror games on PSVR2. Made by, again, a really small team, and I don't expect it to be perfect. I just want to be scared. I want it to like, hit me on some kind of emotional level, something that like just makes me scared to have the headset on. And man, early on, you were talking about some whispering and everything, and I was sitting in darkness, and there's like this whispering, and it gets louder and louder and louder, and it was really affecting me like very early on in the game. And I was like, oh man, like, started off on a good note for sure, and everything looks way clearer than it did on PSVR1. It's you've got a lighter right here, and you can kind of like hold it out in front of you and shine it. Early on, you get to a beach with all these people on it, and I was like, wow, this looks fucking really good. Like just like these little things where I just really appreciated all the things that they were doing. I haven't gotten too far into it. I want to make sure that I'm playing the final patched version for review, but I did want to make sure that I checked it out. And had some decent impressions before we did the show today. And I'm just kind of proud of them, to be honest, because they didn't need to bring this to PSVR1, but they did. And after my review, I saw patch after patch after patch. Like you could just see the game getting updated like every time you turned your PlayStation 5 on, and you're just like, okay guys, like there's a fucking million patches, what's going on? And like that version might be in a way better state than I reviewed it in, but it also kind of proves that like all the patches that they'd been bringing to PSVR1 are here from the get-go on PSVR2, and we're just getting a much better version of the game at this point. So we'll see how.
And the backstory is cool. kind of what if you make an attempt, you can piece together a backstory here, and it's really cool. It's really it deals with subject matter that's, I don't know, maybe a little taboo, or at least used to be a little taboo to discuss in a public forum. And the way they deal with it is really cool. And it's one of the things that makes this game so cool, because at its essence, what the game actually is a depiction of mental illness.
Right.
And I've only can really think of one or two other examples in VR of a developer taking this approach to portray someone who's mentally ill, and you are the one that's mentally ill, and VR is kind of what makes the experience side of that possible. I just love everything about it. It's games like this. So we're talking about 2023 show awards coming up in a few weeks. It's games like this that we do a scariest game award instead of doing the best horror game award, right?
Nice.
Because if we do best horror game, then one of the big AAA games could run away with it. But if we do scariest game, now we're talking. Now we can look at Propagation. Now we can look at Bad Dreams, and these games are absolutely the games that we want to highlight when we talk about good horror games in VR. Again, I can't rave about it enough. I really enjoy it a lot, and I look forward to playing through the rest of it.
Yep, same here. And just as a bonus, obviously this is a free upgrade, as I've said already, from the PSVR1 version. You don't just get the the better PSVR2 version, which gets better in every conceivable way, but you also get a free piece of DLC. I think they said that this will give us the true ending of the game. And if my memory is correct, then this isn't the only DLC they have planned for this game, and I believe that they're planning on making that DLC, like the other piece of DLC, free as well. It's a radical departure from what they were doing with Darkness Roller Coaster. I feel like this is a studio that like really listened to the community and was like, people don't like that we're doing this way, so let's give them a quality product and give them free upgrades for it, like give them reason to keep coming back to it, and not charge them up the ass for every piece of DLC or anything like that. So, yeah, if you guys are if you guys are wary or whatever, that's totally fine. We totally understand. But I will have a review out by early next week at the latest. So stay tuned. And yeah, I guess I don't know. I don't know if this is one I need to finish before the top 25 debate. What do you think?
Maybe. I mean, it depends on how much we want to let our personal taste influence our decisions, right?
Right.
Like, I think it would be in my personal top 25 favorites on PSVR2 for sure. The question is it for everyone? And some people are going to get scared and take the headset off before the title screen even comes up at the start. Like it hits the ground running pretty quickly with the scares this one does. So I don't know. It's an interesting question.
Well, it's an interesting question. We'll have more answers soon. And yeah, I mean, you know what, Wes, since you brought it up, the problem with top 25 lists is that nothing is for everyone. Nothing. Right. Some people hate first-person shooters. Some people hate multiplayer games. Some people hate like racing sims or any sims, and so certainly a problem with any recommendations, with any top 25 list, with anything. But yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I've got a love of indie horror stuff, and I really hope that we see more from this team, even if it's just in the form of the rest of the DLC for this. But again, we'll keep you posted. I really wish I had played more to give you some more in-depth details, but so far so good. So far so good.
Yeah, I agree.
Dude, very happy to see the news today that Incuvo is bringing DLC to the Quest and PSVR2 versions of Green Hell VR. Now, it's the Spirits of Amazonia DLC that has already made it to the flat screen version, but I don't think I was anticipating this for some reason. because when Incuba brought us the Quest version, like the improved Quest version of Green Hell, I sort of in my head said, well, all bets are off in as far as like, are we getting the multiplayer update? Are we getting the DLC? Because I thought that was stuff that they were just planning for the PC version, PC and PCVR. But here we are, Spirits of Amazonia. It'll be out November 30th. Do I have that date right?
That sounds correct. Yes.
And so that's like literally a week away, which is super exciting. And it does seem like we did quick little amounts of research before the show. This isn't insignificant. The Spirits of Amazonia is a 3-part prequel DLC, and I mean, if I have my facts right, like it seems like it's going to double the size of the game.
Yeah, overall, and that's the interesting thing too. Like some people got upset when they found out that it was the PSVR2 version was a little closer to the Quest version than the Steam VR version, and I tried to inform people that that's not all bad. There are advantages to that. There are things about the Quest version that are better than the PC version. And here's just one more, because now Quest and PSVR are getting this awesome story DLC, and the Steam VR players are left out in the cold. So it's pretty awesome that we're getting this. I think a few people in the chat have already commented on the kind of elephant in the room, which is we're still waiting on that patch, right, to fix the visuals, and no mention of that yet. So nobody kind of understands if that's coming, is that not coming, what the deal is. But I will say that the only version of this game that I've played start to finish was the PSVR2 version, and I'm happy that there's more of it now. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you're right. This certainly would feel better. This announcement would feel better if they said, don't worry, we're still working on the graphics patch, which it's not like they've been completely radio silent on this. They did issue one patch and said, hey, now it's going to be easier to read things and the light doesn't reflect off the notebook the way that it did before. And so we're slowly making our way, through the graphical issues. And I don't think for a second that they've abandoned the graphical update that they promised. I just think it's just clear that these are taking time. It took way longer to get the switchback visual upgrade than we expected. I'm trying to think of what other ones. The Hellsweeper update.
Hellsweep. Yeah, that one came pretty quick though. Like it was like a week or two, and they had that one in a pretty solid state.
Right, but they still are saying that there's a Q4 and Q1 update for visual improvements, and so for them to get it up to par with the PC VR version is still months away. So I'm just really happy that this is coming, because I had a lot of fun with this, and I think the only thing I didn't like about Green Hell is that it ended. I was actually all right with the way it looked visually. I say all right, meaning like after I kind of got in there and got acclimated, I got used to the way that it looked, and it didn't really affect me. But every time I would start it up, I'd be like, oof, yeah, there's a little blur here, and that level of detail, draw distance, it's distracting until you just kind of like let yourself get past it. And so, I definitely don't want to give them an out or anything like that. But at the same time, it's like what bummed me out about Green Hell VR is that it ended, and I felt like it was just getting started. I felt like it was building up to something that just never happened. And that bummed me out, because what started off is like this amazing, almost Lost-esque feeling where around every turn you're like, what the fuck is that doing here? Like that doesn't make sense in this world. And I loved that. And then it didn't really go anywhere from there. So to have this prequel DLC that's all sort of separate and whatever else, I'm excited. That's going to be a great reason for me to get back in.
Absolutely. Just one more thing for me to have to play through before we give awards out, because I do believe we typically do an award for the best DLC. So here we go.
Good stuff. Where the fuck is our Village DLC?
Where's our trophies at? Like, there's nothing. I don't even care about trophies, but so many people do. I'm like, what's going on here, man? Why haven't they done this yet? They could do it in a day if they wanted to.
I care about trophies. And especially because it gave me so many reasons to go back and replay Resident Evil 7, because I want to get the trophy to get all the bobbleheads. I wanted to get the trophy to, beat it this way and finish it in under 4 hours, and then do this and then do that or whatever. It just gave me so many reasons to keep going back and replaying the game in different ways that I played Village once on my live streams, and then I played through most of it again for review to capture new footage for the review. And then, I haven't felt the need to go back to it because, I need these, kind of bonus things to strive for. I think it would be one of my most played PSVR2 games, but they haven't given me the thing that Resident Evil 7 gave me to play it over and over and over again. So that sucks. And unfortunately, I think that we're in for the same ride on Resident Evil 4 because they're doing it the exact same way. It's like, yes, it's a free upgrade. Yes, you download this free patch that's listed on the PlayStation Store in order to upgrade it. And I just feel like, they're doing the exact same thing all over again, despite the complaints. And that's going to be a bummer. Here, let's make sure I don't skip tips when I start reading these things. Getting turkey in my belly, the Game Cat Reaper gifted 5 PSVR2 without Parole memberships. Guys, thank you so much. It's awesome. I love seeing people spread the love. It's amazing. It's better to give than to receive, or so they say. You know who else would rather give than receive?
I do. It's 'tis the season.
'Tis the season. Macho, the real estate procrastinating game cat with a $2 tip says, great. More games that we can't play until they're patched. Yep. Well,
it's an interesting question because, I know a lot of people out there are going to want to play this, but on one hand, is that sending the wrong message? Is it letting them off the hook? Or this is free DLC though, isn't it? They're not charging people for this. I was thinking that this was maybe paid on flat.
I'm gonna go check it out right now and find out.
Yeah, that's a good question. If this is paid DLC, I don't know if people should go buy this or not. If it's free, then have at it.
Excellent question. Good to see if I can figure this out. Yeah, it doesn't seem to have a separate listing on the Steam store page.
Okay, great.
Oh, here we go. Hold on a second. Oh no, they're listing the official soundtrack as DLC for $1.
They do that on everything that comes out on Steam.
But yeah, so you'd expect the Spirits of the Amazonia to be listed there as well, right? And if it's not there,
yeah, you would see it. Yeah, you would see it on the store page if it were paid DLC. So I guess it was just an update then, huh?
Yeah. Well, that's good news. But dude, I don't blame anybody for holding off and not playing until the patch. I don't know when it happened that gamers were supposed to feel bad for developers or something. Obviously we always talk about being respectful and voicing your concerns or your disappointment in a respectful way, making sure that the message gets across, but without threatening people and being an absolute dick. But at the same time, it's these are games that we fucking pay for. These are products that we buy and expect them to be done when we buy them. Now, obviously that hasn't been the case for a while on flat screen or VR, but it's a very unique situation to gaming. We don't buy a book and then realize that the last 2 chapters are missing. We don't watch a movie and realize that it's somehow running at 720p for half the game or half the movie. This just isn't shit that happens anywhere else in any other kind of entertainment. And so it's a little bit strange that we're expected to just be okay with this kind of stuff. And so I would say absolutely hold off until the graphics patch happens. And when the graphics patch happens, then that's when you show your support. You say, yeah, this is what we were fucking waiting for. This is the thing that we need in order to enjoy the game. So if you haven't bought it yet, don't buy it. And if you haven't, and I would say don't even fucking download the DLC if it happens to be a separate store listing until they patch the game. Like let's make a point here. Let's make sure they're aware that they can't keep doing this.
Yeah, this is why I buy. I'll wait to buy games. I buy games when they announce VR support, like flat games. When they announce VR support, that's when I buy them, just to show, hey, this is why I'm buying your game.
Right.
Congratulations, job well done. Yeah, I don't know. It goes both ways, right? Like, people shouldn't just accept it, but obviously a lot of people go over the top with it and are try to purposefully be overly critical to punish the developers for doing something wrong. I don't really believe in that. I don't believe in exaggerating things that are wrong with the game to make them seem like they're worse than they actually are. So yeah, we have to find a happy medium with it. I heard a good phrase for that yesterday. Toxic entitlement. It fits so well what some of these people that do review bombs and things actually engage in. And I saw it because the developer from Runner just let some dude have it for leaving a negative review, and it was the coolest thing that I've seen in a while. It made my day yesterday. It was so funny. Like, he wrote this big long response. Like, the MetaQuest store lets you respond to the reviews. Like, devs can comment on them and reply. And he left this big long FU to this guy because the guy pretty much gave it a 1-star review for because he added the optional checkpoints in, and it made the game too easy in this person's opinion. And yeah, it was great. I suggest people go look that up. It's hilarious.
I'm sort of scrolling through the which by the way, I always love hearing that. I do feel like too many developers are like, we have to be, quiet. We can't lash out at the negativity. So any time that somebody gets what they deserve, I love it.
Yeah, it was good. It was hilarious.
I'm just kind of scrolling through this this information here for the Spirits of the Amazonia DLC. After the opening scene, the player will be prompted 2 tasks to find the boat and the masked elder tribe. The player can view these in the tab of the notebook, blah, 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 blah. These sirens are really loud and distracting. The player will need to gain the trust of the something tribe. I forget how that's pronounced. This will consist of the player completing quests for the tribe. Each quest completed will issue the player trust points. Trust points earned can be viewed in the 3rd tab of the player's notebook. Here, the player can see the quests that they complete and the overall total of trust points they've gained. It's interesting.
By the way, how ironic is it that it's during the Thanksgiving season that these developers send us a DLC where we're trying to earn the trust of the indigenous people?
It's a good point. It's a good point. Don't trust anybody.
Spirits of Thanksgiving DLC.
Dead Ringer, the Game Cat with the $2 tip, says Green Hell or Song in the Smoke?
Now, that's an interesting question. If you're talking about each game in its optimal state, which it is not, that's not the case on PSVR2. If you're talking about each game in its optimal state, that's actually a difficult question to answer. I feel like if you were to poll 100 married men, it would come back 50-50. And some people are going to prefer Green Hell because of the story content, and some people are going to prefer Song in the Smoke because of kind of the VRAF elements of it and the kind of fantasy / spiritualism that it has going on. I prefer Song in the Smoke. Even with them both at their optimal state, I like Song in the Smoke a little bit better, but it's not an easy decision. They're both very good games.
Yeah, I'm having a similar problem now that I'm thinking about each one, because I think if you'd asked me during the first half or even maybe first 2/3 of Green Hell, I would have been like, you know what, Green Hell is killing it, firing on all cylinders. It's got the more realistic art style, the crafting. There's more things to craft, and they are very VRF. When you actually make a tent, you're like actually hammering logs into place and dropping things into place, and I consider Song in the Smoke a very VRAF game. So I think that's saying something. So yeah, the story and all the things, like I said, every time you turn a corner, you're like, what the fuck is this doing here? Like, is this going to be an integral part of the story? Whatever. Whereas Song in the Smoke is sort of like, hey, here's this area for you to explore, for you to dominate, for you to make your home. And then once you're comfortable here, move on to the next area. And then do it again, and do it again, and do it again in slightly different areas, like that are visually different, with different items to use for crafting and all that, and different enemies. But it's lacking the story and like that sort of that intrigue that Green Hell brings to the table. Then Green Hell falls really flat, I think, during its last couple hours, and I was really disappointed by that. So I think as an overall game, as an overall experience, Song in the Smoke, I think, especially since I think the hunting in Song in the Smoke is phenomenal. The fact that I'm like, trying to kill this wild cat or something, and I run out of arrows. So now the wild cat is chasing me while I'm picking up sticks and breaking them and like trying to, sharpen arrows and craft these arrows on the fly as my prey is now my predator, and then finally I get the arrows made. I turn around and I shoot them, and it's weird because whereas Green Hell tells you a story, Song in the Smoke is like your story, and like it's all the cool things that happen are the things that you remember, but they're certainly not scripted, and it's not narrative driven at all. So Song in the Smoke right now, but I really do hope that the Spirits of the Amazonia changes that for Green Hell.
Yeah, I like. One of the things I really like about Song in the Smoke are the different levels in it. Like Green Hell kind of puts you in one big world, and each area is a little different from the last, but they're all very similar. Whereas there are clearly defined levels in Song in the Smoke. You progress at your own pace, but there can be some pretty significant differences one level to the next, to the next, to the next. And it seems like each level introduces at least one element that completely changes how you should be playing. And I really appreciate that about
it. Zeke in the chat says, was Song in the Smoke a big game on PSVR1? I mean, it depends what you call a big game. Over here on Without Parole, AJ and I both ranted and raved about Song in the Smoke. I gave it a 10 out of 10, and I think I only did that for 3 games on PSVR1. I think I reviewed Resident Evil 7 before I was giving out review scores, but that definitely would have been a 10 out of 10. And then Saints and Sinners and Song in the Smoke, those are the 3 10 out of 10s I can think of on the platform. So for us, it was a big game. I don't know, like, the community at large, I have no idea. But trust me, a lot of the best games get ignored regardless. So as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter what everyone else thought, because here we are trying to jump up and down and tell you how amazing a game is, and sometimes that just gets ignored, like Separation. I loved Separation. I think that was a 9 out of 10, and people ignored it to the point where like we may not see that on PSVR2, or fingers crossed, maybe we will. Dan Kiefer says, is there any particular reason we can't jump on the PS4 version of Song in the Smoke? Why do we need a PS5 to jump? Because that game was done on PS4, and when Sony paid 17-bit to bring it over to PS5, that's when they said, okay, well now it's our chance to include everything we wanted to include in the PS4 version, but couldn't due to time or whatever. And so it was this Sony funding that allowed them to go back in and really deliver on a great PSVR2 version. And one of the things the community had asked for was like, hey, can you let us actually jump? So it's because of Sony's funding that we even got that on PSVR2, that the game even exists on PSVR2, and that we're able to jump on PSVR2. So Elephant Trap says Astrobot's a 10 out of 10 as well. And yeah, maybe. Astrobot's
great. It really is.
It is, but like I mean, I hate that Astrobot can't be brought up without me like harping on about the things I don't love about it, because there's minute details that just really bother me about Astrobot, and which I hope that if we get like Astrobot Rescue Mission World or something like that, where we get like this big, better Astrobot game in VR, like I want it to be like these bigger sprawling levels where you're not just running down a corridor like you are in Crash Bandicoot. I want there to be like an arsenal of tools at your disposal that you can use for and get through the level in various different ways, instead of being like, this is your tool for this level. It's these things that allow for a little bit more freedom and more exploration. 9.5. I'll give it 9.5. Was I giving out scores back then? I can't fucking remember, but Astro.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, there is no 10 out of 10 in my opinion. Like I haven't seen the perfect game yet. So,
well, I don't consider 10 out of 10 perfect. I think 10 out of 10 is just a new high watermark, being like, this is one of the best things we've seen on the platform yet.
Okay.
But again, we all review things differently, so. All right. I think we're all caught up. Dude, it is time for some PSVR 20 questions. I'm going to need all the help I can get, because I don't trust Wes. Got to be honest. I think he's been secretly being devious while we've been doing this, and he's been searching through the PlayStation Store for one of the most obscure games that's ever been listed. So I'm going to need all the help I can get, you guys. So make sure that in the chat, you help me out. Give me good questions to ask Wes. We don't know what PSVR 1 or PSVR 2 game this is going to be. So give me good questions to ask and give me good game suggestions based on his responses. And please, for the love of God, Wes, don't AJ the fuck out of this.
Whoever Nexus already knows what it is, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, and Looper doesn't know yet, but will within the first 3 questions.
Right.
Yeah, no, I know which cats to listen to. All right, I'm gonna put 6 minutes up on the clock. God, I'm like stressing out about this. All right, here we go. On your mark, get des, go. Is this game on PSVR 1?
Yes.
Is it also on PSVR 2?
No.
Okay. Did this game use the Move controllers?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
No, we're going to say no on that one.
Interesting. Are you in a vehicle in this game?
I mean, it's not a game that you would I mean, technically yes, but it isn't a game that you would associate with that sort of gameplay. So I wouldn't dwell on that.
Okay. He said technically yes. Getting turkey in my belly, Game Cat Reaper with a $5 tip says, has it been mentioned on the show tonight? Don't answer that. Has the developer or the game been mentioned on the show tonight, Wes?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. I'm trying to get to most of my questions. Ooh, good question, Looper. A lot of aim supported games did not use the moves, just DualShock and aim. Does it use aim support? Does it have aim support?
No. No aim support.
That's interesting. I can't. Silver Nexus. We're gonna skip the rhythm game question. I can't think of any rhythm games that only have DualShock support. Did this developer make more? Did they make other PSVR 1 games as well?
I don't think so. Let me just verify that. But I'm going to say no. You go ahead. I'm going to search it out. I don't want to run your clock out, but I'm going to say no for now. And if that turns out not to be the case, then I'll update.
Let's see here. Not on PSVR2. Didn't use the move or aims. Do you do a lot of shooting in this game?
No.
Wow.
Is that 8? I feel like that might
1,
be
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've only got 7. I've got 7 answers,
7.
but that doesn't mean anything.
We'll call it 7.
Okay. Did this game come out in the first year of PSVR 1?
No.
Okay, well that eliminates launch games and lots of other games. Is there a multiplayer element?
No.
We're not figuring much out here, you guys. Would you call it a game more than an experience?
Yeah, it's a game. That's 10. And this is the only PSVR game released by this studio.
All right. Man. Man, this is tough. Is there a horror element?
Not really. I mean, I wouldn't call it a horror game. I mean, it can. I mean, there's some unsettling things in it, but it's not a horror game.
Interesting. Yeah, Looper, Transference is definitely a horror game. Stifled is definitely a horror game.
I mean, Transference is barely a horror game. It's more of a psychological thriller, but
sure. Fine. Isn't psychological thriller like in the grander horror category? You know what? Maybe a conversation for a different time.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is it primarily a puzzle game?
No, I wouldn't say it's primarily a puzzle game, no.
Having trouble, you guys. Having trouble. I've only got a minute left. Okay. Was this a good game? Would it ever be a contender for a top 25 list?
Maybe in its time. Maybe around the time it was out, it might have been considered. I liked it. I thought it was a good game.
Man, Jesus Christ, I'm like just.
That's 13, bro. Ask some questions.
I know, right? For real. Oh, did this game make it to like Steam?
Yeah, this game's on Steam.
Is it also on Quest?
No, not on Quest. 15.
Okay. Is it funny?
No, not funny.
Is it first person?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's first person. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but
I think it's first person.
I remember this as being first person.
I'm out of time, but
just ask your questions. I don't recognize the clock.
I love that we just have different rules. Yeah, it wasn't a launch game. Wasn't the first year. Wasn't funny. So it's not a puzzle game. It's not shooting. Ace
yeah, definitely first person.
Okay. So is there melee combat?
No, not really.
This is insanity. I have no idea what this is.
What was that? That was 16, I think. We'll call it 16.
I don't know. It's not DVAGnet. It's not Suicide Guide. These are all puzzle games. Carly and the Reaper Man puzzle game. These are all puzzle. This is. I feel so much better that no one in the chat seems to have any idea either.
But someone in the chat did mention it earlier.
Oh man, that's the worst. I'm just. I gotta be honest. I'm really confused about your confusion as to whether it was first person or not. Because
I was 99% sure that it was, but it's been a while since I played it, and I could see playing this type of game as third person, even though it wouldn't be as good. It would work as a third person game.
Okay. I'm just going to throw out a guess because we were way over time. I'm going to go with Steve IRE just because I can't think of anything else. Is it Robinson the Journey?
No, sir. This game from Tessera Studios.
Wait.
Intruders.
Intruders Hide and Seek.
Hide and Seek.
You don't think Intruders Hide and Seek is a horror game?
It's definitely not a horror game. There's no monsters. There's no kind of supernatural things. It's a stealth game. It's I mean, there's some like tension to it. Like I said, there's some tense situations, but there's no kind of like if you were to watch that in a movie form, nobody would call that a horror movie. It's not a horror game. There's no horror elements. There's no kind of scary stuff. There's adults trying to snatch you. I mean, I guess.
I mean, okay. I mean, I definitely would have called this.
Put a ball up.
What?
Let the GameCast decide.
What's the vehicle thing? Like, I know you said like don't pay attention to that, but what was the confusion about the vehicle?
Well, the one of the early cutscenes in the game, you're riding up the road with your family, and you're in a car.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So there's vehicles in the game, but again, it's not something that you would think about with this game.
I'm just seeing what the cats think here.
Suspense, thriller, right, guys? And I wouldn't call it horror.
Yeah, I just think these are all subgenres of horror, but I'm not going to give you a hard time about it. I did see was it Nihilist Ryan that suggested this? As soon as I sort of ruled out everything in this vein the second you said that it wasn't horror, so that was on me.
Well, and for what it's worth, Looper agrees with you that it's a horror game, but when I said it wasn't horror, that's when he guessed what it was.
Interesting.
So go figure. No, it's not more horror than Transference. Transference has these like crazy, evil, like glitchy things in it that kind of make it horror-like. This just has people that, by the way, even though you're a kid in the game, when these people catch you, they fucking kick the shit out of you like you're an adult. So I don't know. I would be up to, if you wanted to put it up to a vote, let the GameCast decide who won. But I don't consider this to be a horror game.
Well, some of us are way more chicken shit than you are, because I remember being like kind of terrified, sneaking around the house and stuff, and like, you know.
Oh, it's definitely scary. Yeah. This is the type of thing that scares me. Hiding and having people chase me. That's one of the few things that actually scare me in VR. Again, another thing that Bad Dreams does in certain areas that they do pretty well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Not a horror game. Oh, Nihilist Ryan agrees with you. It's suspense and not horror. Damn it. Now I know whose side you're on, Nihilist Ryan. I get it.
The thumbnail's definitely a horror thumbnail. They put the skull on there with antlers and stuff, but that's just the thumbnail. It's not like part of the game or anything.
Anyway, but definitely I should have asked about stealth, because I saw some people asking about stealth, and I think that would have helped me out, because there just simply were not that many stealth games on PSVR1.
Right.
It's this and like 4 other games or something. So I think that would have steered me in the right direction. I could have gotten it with that. So always fun. Oh, Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry says, is Hello Neighbor a horror game?
I never played it because people said it sucked so bad I didn't even bother booting it up.
Yeah. I will tell you that Hello Neighbor is similar in some regards, right? Because you get the dude like walking around the house and you're trying to avoid him, and like you gotta hide and shit. Intruders is way scarier than Hello Neighbor is.
Yeah, Intruders is dark, and these people were like, the story's dark.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to spoil it, but this is a really good game. I think the year that this game came out, we gave it the award for narrative, the best storytelling in a VR game, because the story is really well told and dark AF. Like, it shows you pretty on that these intruders mean business.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it scary.
Yeah, and I
But
think
one of the things that makes it scary.
yeah, for something that doesn't seem like it's really going anywhere, it's just like kind of like a lame excuse for you to like, sneak around the house and just get from point A to point B over and over and over again. By the end of the game, like it's just they just yeah, they just kind of go balls to the wall with it, and you see some pretty fucked up shit, and you hear about a pretty fucked up story. The headbite says, is there any chance of intruders coming to PSVR2? We'll throw it onto the list with all the other ones that we'd love to have.
It's on Steam, and they're not doing anything else. I mean, when I looked at their website, they had a couple of like flat games on there. But you would think that there's at least a possibility of it.
Yeah, you'd hope so. You'd hope that for all the PSVR1 games, like Immortal Legacy, I think is.
Yeah, I think there's a better chance of intruders making it than Immortal Legacy.
Yeah, I don't think the Immortal Legacy developers exist anymore. So I think
it sucks too, because they left us on with so many questions, Brian, with regard to narrative. Like my biggest question was what?
Yeah, just an overarching. What the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, what? Well, I still don't get it. But it was a good game.
The last minute of that, where it's like any questions you had, or just like even bigger questions. It's like, yep, I'm ready for a sequel. Let's do this.
It's like it takes you through 3 or 4 different games, and none of them are really related, but they're all good.
Do it. Come on, somebody out there has to have a studio that could get the rights to Immortal Legacy and get that shit ported to PSVR 2. Come on, somebody's got to do it.
I'd like to even like hold a competition to see who can come up with the best story that ties all the narrative threads of that together in a coherent way to make it make sense.
Right.
Like that could get that would be off the wall crazy, and no 2 stories would be alike, I'm sure.
Oh man. Well, lots of great things to look forward to. This was a great episode. The PSVR 2 news this week has been incredible. Green Hell DLC, fucking Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2, Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 1 now available. Arken Age reveal. Vertigo 2 release date. I mean, like, if anybody out there, and I still see it. I still see it, which kind of drives me crazy. I still see people saying, "Oh, I regret buying my PSVR 2. There's just nothing happening. There's just no games." And I'm like, you know what, man? Like, and I've really gotten to the point where I'm like, if you're not impressed by what you've been seeing, the games that are out and the games that are coming, it's probably time to sell your headset, because it's not just that PSVR 2 isn't for you. It's that VR isn't for you, because you're expecting too much from a very nascent industry. And so, like, honestly, like, leave your negativity at the door when you come and talk to me, because you're expecting too much if you're not happy with what we're getting right now. Shit looks fucking incredible for the next year, and shit has been incredible this whole year. So, everybody's allowed to think whatever they want to think. But you know what? If you're hanging out without Parole, just leave your negativity somewhere else. We go put it on the Virtual Strangers Discord, right?
Bring me your negativity,
right? Wes and his friends put up with all sorts of shit like that over there. leave it over there. We just want to
address it head on. We have a 20 to 30 minute segment at the end of our episode where we just talk about viewer comments, and sometimes they're positive, and guess what? Sometimes they're not, and we give our opinion on what they're saying.
Amazing. We need to do that over here, because there are some insane comments on the Without Parole channel, and like I just need to vent sometimes and be like, these people are venting and like putting all of their negativity on me. And I'm like, well, I can't do anything about your problems. Like, all I can do is tell you if the games that I'm playing are any good and talk about the shit that I love or that I hate. But I don't know, man. I've just become this person that unhappy people like to beat up on.
We used to do this segment on the year-end show. We didn't do it last year, but before that, it was called Corrections. And you know how newspapers, when they get something wrong, they'll post a correction?
Yeah.
So at the end of the year, we would go through all the comments, and anytime somebody would leave just some stupid, dumbass, off-the-wall comment criticizing us for something that they're obviously wrong about, we would come on and, in a very sarcastic way, apologize for getting it wrong. So we would, like, 20 minutes of reading these dumbass comments. We're sorry. You're right. whatever the dumb comment was. You're absolutely right. Why do we even play PSVR anymore? Like, we apologize that we got that one wrong.
All right, you guys, time to call it quits on another episode of PSVR Gamescast Live. Make sure you go subscribe to Wes and his friends over at Virtual Strangers. A lot of exciting stuff happening over there for the end of the year. While you're at it, make sure you join our Discord, as long as you're not crazy negative. We'll put up with some negativity. Come join us on over there. Thank you to everybody who helps this channel run. Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry that puts timestamps into the show after the fact. Rypop for getting it up on podcast services of your choice. Everyone who supports us financially over on patreon.com/withoutparolegames over here by being a member, and everyone who tips during the show, everyone who helps during 20 questions, keeps us entertained in the chat while we try to keep you entertained, and of course, everyone who sits back and watches the show and doesn't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there, and we love you just as much. Happy Thanksgiving, Wes.
Happy Thanksgiving, Brian. Happy Thanksgiving, cats. I hope you all enjoy your holidays. We'll be around. Tag us up.
Let's go. Oh man, Wes. Let's see. I feel like we need to check out what was happening on this day, 2 years or so ago, on Without Parole.
Let me guess. The things that were the games we are most thankful for.
11/22. Let's see. Let's go back to. Yeah, on this exact day, 2 years ago. Let's see. PSVR2's next big multiplayer adventure, Windlands 2, this Friday, with guest John Hibbins from SciTech Games. Hey, that was a pretty good time.
You say PSVR2 or PSVR?
I probably said PSVR2. It just kind of falls out of my mouth sometimes. But yeah, PSVR's next big multiplayer adventure. Dude, listen, like this might seem silly, to have it as a headline or whatever, but man, not only was Windlands 2, did it turn out to be a great game, great multiplayer experience. But like, this was something that had sort of been promised to us for years, to the point where like every time I tried to get in touch with SciTech or John Hibbins, he'd just basically say, "Oh, it's still coming." And then I was just like, there's no fucking way it's still coming. And then when it finally came, we're like, oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. It really was still coming the whole time.
Still developing it too. I think they just updated it for standalone for the new headsets.
Nice.
Yeah, I'd like to get this one because as good as it was on PlayStation, and it was good on PlayStation, you were limited by the move controllers in that game. And I'd love to have sense controllers and adaptive triggers and play Windlands. I feel like it would be the best version of it.
I agree. The funny thing is that despite the fact that we were promised this forever, and then they finally delivered it to us, it was one of those games where at the beginning of the when you first started up the game, you get this massive VR monkey logo. And it was like, oh, so you just outsourced the port to somebody else? Like, what the hell? So like,
it's cheating,
right? It sounds like they just kind of promised that it was coming, and then finally it was like, okay, someone else do it. Like, yeah. So by the way, as you guys heard, Andrew Ehrenreich made a turkey pizza, and so I just took this a second over and decided to go look at said turkey pizza. Here it is. I got to be honest, I thought it was going to look terrible. It actually looks phenomenal, and these are actually like cranberries on the fucking pizza with turkey. Dude, this looks fucking really good. Not gonna lie. I should ask Little Caesars if they got anything special for the holidays. Because it looks really good.
I wouldn't be surprised, man. After I saw taco shells made out of Doritos, nothing shocks me anymore.
Oh, dude. But I mean, and those are delicious. So like,
of course they are. But I'm sure that like I'm too old to eat food like that. Like it damages my heart directly every time I eat it. You should see all the pills they want me to take, Brian. It's like, it's staggering.
Yeah. Yeah, I went from having to take no pills every day to having to take like a handful. It's just old age just kind of fucking hits you like out of nowhere. You're like, wait, when did I get old? This is bullshit.
Well, the difference is that now we go to the doctor. Like before, I just didn't go to the doctor, and now I'm like, I'm old, so I guess I should go to the doctor. And they're like, hey, yeah, you got a bunch of stuff wrong. You probably should eat all these chemicals.
Yep.
And I say, okay, sure. And then I bring them home, and then I take a couple of them, and the rest of them I don't take. Yeah.
All right. Well, make sure you stay healthy, Wes, because we need you around for a really, really long time.
I'll try.
I'll
try.
Somebody's gonna take over this ship when I go.
Go where? Where are you going?
I don't know.
Oh, you're going to your brother's. You told me you're going to your brother's.
Someplace better is what I hear. I'll be in a better place. Although my brother's house is a better place. They have like 5 cats, and that's how could that be worse than one cat?
Man. I'm getting there, dude. We've got 3, and they're all up in my face all the time.
So adorable, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
They're very different. All 3 of them are very different personalities.
Yep. That's the thing that people never understand until they have a cat. Because I didn't understand until I had a cat. I didn't understand how the amount you bond with your pet until you actually get a pet. I didn't understand, people like talk about their cat or their dog all the time like it's a kid or something. And it's like, if I didn't talk about Tornado, I wouldn't have anything to talk about. That's what I've realized.
Right. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, huge part of my life. Anyway, I'm thankful for Tornado, but I'm also thankful for you, Wes, and I'm thankful for all the GameCasts out there. You all have a wonderful holiday. Be safe. Enjoy your family as best as you can, and we'll see you on Friday's show with Miles.
Saturday. Oh, I'll see you Saturday.
Yes. You're going to get way too much of us for the rest of the week is what we're trying to say.
Yeah.
All right. Good night, everybody. We love you all.